How strong is the Inov Split? We're gonna finally test it here at Slack Snap. Check it out on this episode of How Not to Highline. Hi, I'm Ryan Jinks, and we are going to talk about Inov Splits. How to connect 50-meter high lines together that have sewn loops end to end so we can rig bigger stuff without purchasing super large pieces of webbing, so if the main line fails, you don't fall as far. We did an experiment at CRG that was a 200-meter line, and we cut it continuous, and then we reset it up with this configuration and cut it. And we got quite a difference on how far our test bag fell. So let me show you how the Inov Split works first. So in each of these IKEA bags, I have my webbing flaked perfectly. And what I have is they're all flaked the same way. And I have these orange parts are extenders. And this is on top, and my two loops here are at the bottom. So same over here. This is at the bottom, and then my extender and my webbing is at the top on this side. So I want to connect these together, and what I would do is line all these bags up depending how far my high line is going to be. And I only have to bring the amount of webbing that I need. Another benefit of the Inov Split. So I need to connect, in this case, my spider silk, I know, is always my backup. If I have main and backup as the same piece, I tape it and write main, because you really can't screw up the prep on Inov Splits, or you're going to have to de-rig and redo it. So I tie my pieces together to my handles so they stay intact. Now you want to make sure that they're not inside the handles. Otherwise, your bag will be part of your high line the rest of the trip. So I've checked my tapes, and I know that this side is up, and these are my mains, and these are my backups. So first of all, we're going to connect our main, and that makes this special is the little crisscross figure 8 shape that this makes. I'm using 5mm soft shackles because I believe they are plenty strong. What I do is I go inside of itself like that, then stick it through the other loop, and we put the button knot, these are all button knot soft shackles, inside of the loop. And you can see how easy that will be to run a ring over when you're highlining. My next step is to take a smaller soft shackle, and I go down on either side, and what happens is this is not going to come off. And so we just have to connect our extender, which we'll go over later, and our other sewn loop. And then we connect this soft shackle. I have found using climbing tape is plenty to keep all of this together. Taping this is very important. When this is rigged on a high line, this is always tight. And so this basically stays in place. You don't want that button knot to fall out. So I basically tape the crap out of it here, shift that where I want, and then that'll stay. And I tape the throat here, and I tape the throat here for redundancy, because if that is taped, there's no way that it can come off of the head. So then our other soft shackle hangs here, and we want the button knot of the other soft shackle to be inside of this little crisscross 8 shape that we create. And all of that will slide over quite nicely when we tape it really well. Now, what you can do is tape it in a spiral so you can actually inspect the Dyneema and the shape and everything instead of just literally covering it all up, hoping somebody did it right. Now, do not use 5mm Dyneema for your extenders. These are all 6mm Dyneema with, I used fishing line in this case, and we thread it up, go 90 degrees and thread it back down so it doesn't come undone. These are simple splices. Brommel splices don't really add enough value, and technically they lower the strength by this much. I have 5-meter pieces, extenders, for all my pieces. For Feather Pro, it's perfect. For stretchy webbing, I have to girth hitch 2 of them together. And for low stretch webbing, all I have to do is fold it over in half a little bit, tape that like that, and make it into a 3-meter piece. And I have the ability to adjust it on site because of that. So where the extender meets my backup loop is girth hitched. And I do pad my 6mm Dyneema here to my padded loop because it gives me more strength. And that's what we're going to test today, is how strong this is. And what we do is we do reverse tapes just in this one spot, so it keeps this up and snug close to the main line, so our rings slide over quite nicely. Ironically, this is almost more bulky than our actual Inov Split over here. So let's try all sorts of different configurations here on Slack Snap and find out if we're gonna die. All right, Lorenzo is going to demonstrate how we're going to simulate sewn loops so we don't have to create sewn loops for everything. What we do is we fold it in half, and then we fold it in half again, and then we put that in the web lock. And we're trying to see if we're reducing the strength of the actual part of the loop instead of our stitching breaking every time. So we're gonna pull on this right here and find out if our 5mm breaks or if our webbing breaks first. And if you wanna know how strong an arctic harness is, we broke one and we made a video about that, so check it out. Our first test is on these artificial loops that we made, and we padded them since that is a realistic situation. Our button knot is inside of the loop, and we actually already have about a kilonewton on here. Now, this does rub this, but it's not oscillating back and forth, and so it doesn't really create a problem. Or does it? Let's find out. Holy shit. All right, our loop finally broke. This is lift from Balance Community. Holy shit. 29.78 kilonewtons, which it's gonna take double that to break these 5mm. Yeah, this 5mm is not a problem right now. This thing's just fine. Our padding, oh, damn. And what's neat about this is if you did this with a quick link and you took it to 29 kilonewtons, it would basically be unscrewable, unusable, it'd be done. We're going to reuse this soft shackle because that's what makes soft shackles great. Okay, so we are now gonna test the same configuration with the 5mm in the Inov Split on padded simulated sew-in loops. This padded part is just bad on the outside, and I'm cheap and it's perfectly good on the inside. You can see it, my button knot is right there. But this is spider silk, and spider silk breaks at 9,800 pounds of force, or around 40-ish kilonewtons consistently. And so having it doubled up like this, I'm estimating it'll break around 60-ish kilonewtons, which is roughly when this breaks. This is a dual that I'm not gonna stand next to, and we're gonna use the tripod to film it. Okay, so our soft shackle did not break. This is a very low stretch webbing that was from a previous break. This was not. This was caused, I believe, on this one. But it really scrunched our, ooh, that's warm. It scrunched the webbing. It pinches it really badly. And so it broke at 29.38 kilonewtons. Now, this is a super low stretch. On a stretcher webbings take it like a champ, and so it's not as big of a concern. But we don't get full strength out of our spider silk when we put the 5mm on there. We're gonna do one more test with our Inov figure 8 shape here, but we're gonna use Flight. Flight is very strong, but it has a little bit more flexibility, even though it's polyester, a little bit more flexibility than the spider silk. What happened last time was this cut through the webbing because this is kind of skinny and it pinched it a little. So let's find out what this does. $527 broke our loop. And what did we get? Our soft shackle's just fine. 29.4. Wow, 29 seems to be like the number right now. 6,600 pounds of force. We're testing the 5mm soft shackle by itself. The width of this 8mm soft shackle is approximately what a 1-inch sew-in loop is, and I put the button inside of it. This is how we use it, even though the webbing will always break first as we are learning. So our pulleys, we had too much slack in our catch rope. Our catch rope's looking pretty gnarly. It broke around the neck here. The noose usually breaks on these. And that's what it did. It smells like plastic. What did it break at, you ask? 41.28 kilonewtons, or 9,200 pounds. And this is a soft shackle that we've used and abused 3 times now. I'm pretty happy with this. Okay, so our next test is the backup soft shackle put into our Inov Split here. Now what we did was we put, you can see here on our webbing, our simulated backup webbing has been cut. Our main line has failed us, and it goes around here. And then this starts to pull funky on this. This was I put inside there, and I just took it to 3 kilonewtons and already pulled off to the side. So that's a pretty realistic situation. These are pulling kind of funky on each other. This was inside of here just a second ago, but we're just gonna find out how they interact with each other if this was to be loaded. $18.72 kilonewtons. Wow, so that is warm. So our blue soft shackle got basically inverted. This is a pretty new 5 mil. Wow, so this one did not break. It popped a few times. I'm not quite sure what the popping was, unless it's the tail slipping out. You can see some blue color right there. Maybe that popped out when it jumped. Wow, this is actually still in usable good shape. Well, that pulled funky. Where's our webbing? That was like that already. That really didn't get, that was just being squeezed. And the main line wouldn't be under tension when this is happening. Wow. But we're getting our magic number of 29.7 kilonewtons, which our Highlines really never see above 6, maybe 7 in super rare situations. So we still got a nice safety ratio here. We're going to repeat our last test. I'm going to show you before I pull it tight that this is our main line in this situation, and our backup soft shackle, which I'm going to put in here to start it off with. Try to keep that button knot in there. And this will all be taped too, by the way, so it'll be as much as possible. Okay, Lorenzo, pull that tight. So you can see what happened there. That's a pretty realistic situation, and it stayed inside of there. And we're gonna pull test this one more time. Holy hell. Whoa, that was a much different result, which is interesting how much of a variation that is at 43 kilonewtons. Our blue soft shackle didn't break. Our head is actually just fine. So if we have a nice strong head and it doesn't invert, then that's the kind of results we can get from this test. Where did our, oh wow, it's way over there. Broke at the noose, which is what I was expecting the first time. So yeah, if you have really good button knots with really good heads, then you can get up to 43 kilonewtons with this, which is more than you're going to get on the sew-in loops themselves. So sample 532 is a 6 millimeter extender. I used actually a smaller thread to stitch this. We have our other ones are done a lot better now. But we girth hitched a padded loop right here, but this is unpadded for this test. And in our future tests, we do 4 tests that are padded. Let's find out how much that squeezes and how much strength that we retain. Wow, we got full strength here, and it basically broke where I don't taper my tails that I bury. That was at 26.74 kilonewtons and 6,000 pounds. Sample 533 is a simulated loop on flight, simulated loop on spider, because we still have those, and 6 millimeter soft shackle with the button knot embedded into here. Now this is passable with a ring. It's just a little bit more convenient with a 5 millimeter. 5 millimeter button knots are 25% smaller than a 6 millimeter. So we're gonna find out how much strength it preserves in the loop by having a 6 millimeter right here. I was watching and this did not hold any force. It did not affect what we did.
Ooh, good.
Our 6mm soft shackle is intact, and our flight is what broke right here at 32.16 kilonewtons. So this is only about 3 kilonewtons more with a 6mm soft shackle. We are simulating the backup soft shackle pulling on the main soft shackle after the main webbing breaks. And this knot is in that loop, and this knot is inside of this 8 shape. Give that a pull, Daniel. So far, it sat in there quite nicely. And this is an 8mm and should not fail before these 6mm do. So let's find out how strong these 6 mils are. The noose broke. This started to do some funky shit. It got pulled out from the loop. Actually, oh, that's funny. I think that's still in good condition. Our 8mm. We have done numerous tests on this 8mm. When I say numerous, I mean hundreds. So yay for soft shackles. Inside of here is not too bad. So this is actually something we can do more tests with at 39.96 kilonewtons. Now normally with 6 mils, we can get high 60s with this stuff, but it broke at 40 kilonewtons or 8,950 pounds. Lastly here, we are going to simulate a quick link as the backup connector instead of the soft shackle on here, which is the real Inov Split method. I'm the one who likes to put soft shackles on soft shackles, which it does concern people. So this would be one of the webbings. The main in this simulation has broken, and our backup extender is going to be this one. We're going to find out how strong this 8mm is and how it interacts with this. The button nut is inside of this sew-in loop, which is simulating that side of this would be the main on the other side. All right, tighten us up. See how that's pulling there? I'm not too fond of how that nut is interacting with this rope here. It is nice to not have rope on rope and all those concerns we have with those, but that's not really great either. Yeah, it's our quick link. Quick links do that. They break.
It popped a piece.
And, oh, what's that? Are 6 mils still usable for future tests? That's weird. 40.36 kilonewtons. Okay, that was a pretty good test. So you can use these or you can use soft shackles. It basically all comes out the same. Wow, that is gnarly. Now, if I took this past 20 kilonewtons, I don't think I'd be able to unscrew it. But the actual full failure was 40. Ooh, that's pretty cool. That makes me feel better. I would even consider using 8mm quick links, depending on how far the hike was. So oval quick links also squish a loop in your webbing. This is already at 4 kilonewtons, and it pinches it pretty badly, which is the concern soft shackles have, is that it squeezes it here. Now, of course, we can use square quick links, which actually keeps the loop flatter than it is in this situation. However, these aren't that strong. They're not bad, but they're not that strong. So let's find out how much strength we get out of this compared to the soft shackle. You can see the deformation already happening. It's at 7,350 pounds. Wow. We got 8,300 pounds or 36 kilonewtons. So we did actually get a little bit more strength out of our sew-in loop. This actually did not break. I mean, it's all screwed up, but it did not break. Our loop broke. So this preserved more strength in our loop. Now, these are not really able to be used in the Inov Split as the main connector, but it is recommended by Slack Inov
that you use 8mm quick links to connect your backup extender with your backup loop of the next line. And I think it's actually not a bad idea to do so. Depends how lightweight I want to go. I'm not too stoked on having a lot of metal in my system, but these are a great alternative. Now, I do think around the 29 kilonewton mark that we're constantly getting is when this starts to deform and to a point where you couldn't use it anymore. And I would consider it not to be safe. So it did get up to 36 kilonewtons before it did damage our loop. We're going to repeat the quick link on a loop on flight in order to see how soon it breaks the loop. Last time on Spider Silk, it did not break this, but it deformed it a lot. This quick link is just now starting to deform, and it's at 5,700 pounds of force, or 24.52 kilonewtons. Okay, so, whoa. Okay, so it broke the loop on our flight. And it deformed this significantly, exactly like our last test on Spider Silk. And our final result was 33.48, or 7,700 pounds of force, which is a little bit more than a soft shackle, but it starts to deform at a lower strength than a soft shackle breaks a loop. And soft shackles, like I use this on so many of the tests in this video so far, I'm still able to use it. So this thing is now garbage and I cannot use it anymore.
So we broke about 18 samples and we got some really interesting results. I was actually quite fascinated how low some of the numbers were, but they're all actually pretty good. So let's run through the chart real quick and go over them. So you can find this chart here on slackademics.com under my section. The link is in the description below. But let's go over some of the numbers real quick as a summary. I found it super interesting that Lift, Spider Silk, and Flight all got just about identical results, having the 5mm soft shackles on them. Now, keep in mind the way we built our loops creates a false sense of how strong they are, because a weblock to weblock strength for Lift is only 28 kilonewtons. And so we get a full strength with our 5mm here, but we do lose about 13 kilonewtons and about 8 kilonewtons on our Spider Silk and Flight. Now, we're all fine highlining on something like Lift at 28 kilonewtons. However, we do lose some strength, but I don't see that to be a problem because most highlines are at 6 kilonewtons at the most. I've never seen 7. I'm not saying you can't get 7. Trick lines will see more than that, but that's not the application the Inov Split is for. Now, 7 bar tacks with number 138 thread that's padded, those break out, and the reason I don't do those for these tests is because they sometimes break higher with the 5mm soft shackle. And I don't want the bar tacks to break before the actual padded loop, because we're trying to see if the squishing of the loop is what compromises it. 6mm on Spider Silk gave us 3 more kilonewtons, which was surprisingly lower than I thought. So it's definitely worth it to me to have a 25% smaller head, which is what the 5mm offer. Now, we did do some quick link tests because we want to know if quick links do preserve more strength, and they do. They do a little bit. Now, of course, they're deforming. If you see down here, the quick links deform around 24 kilonewtons and would be unsafe to use after it ever reached that much. But you're never actually able to achieve those kinds of forces on a highline, so basically it's all super good enough. As far as the strength of our soft shackles, just as a main, we did do an Inov Split shape, the figure 8 shape, at 53.9 kilonewtons a few weeks ago. But on these tests here, we got 41 and 43. Now, the average RBS, the realistic breaking strength of soft shackles that I've gotten, has been 44.9 kilonewtons, and I did 3 tests for that average. And so you can compare what I've been getting with normal use, with normal 5 mils, compared to the Inov Split. So it's all around the same.
However, when we do the backup simulation, if we did have a main line failure, that we do get roughly similar results, except that the head of the 5mm soft shackle here deformed and collapsed, and that's why we got such a quote-unquote low number. However, it's exactly the same as up here on our loops. So even in worst case scenario with the soft shackle unperforming, it does just fine. 5mm soft shackle compared to the 6mm soft shackle were not any different. So it's definitely not worth it to me to use a 6mm soft shackle in the backup and main situation. 8mm quick links on the 6mm soft shackle is the way the Inov Split, the actual slack Inov, recommends people do. And we did get 40 kilonewtons, which is higher than our loops actually break at. But again, they deform at 24 kilonewtons and are no longer able to be used. Our backup extenders give us basically full strength. Even unpadded here on Spider Silk was giving us that high 20s range. And then we had 6mm padded AM steel on padded loops to extend our backups. And that gives us 24 kilonewtons compared to my 20 kilonewtons I get in web lock tests. And I had new type 18 and I got higher here than an actual web lock to web lock. So you're getting full strength. It would break in the web lock at the anchor before it broke at the girth hitch. And padded 6mm on Spider Silk does lower the Spider Silk because you are squishing it, but not by too much. You're losing 12 kilonewtons, not the end of the world. So I have officially cut all of my webbing into 50-meter sections and have all 5-meter extenders. I either double them up or shorten them up depending on how stretchy my webbing is. I'm pretty excited about using that system from this point on, so I can do large high lines safely and I don't have to carry more webbing than I need to, and I can connect my webbing to my friend's webbing, and it allows me to continue to build my webbing portfolio, my accumulated webbing, slowly, and as I find each piece interesting, instead of having to buy 300 or 500 meter sections just to do these large projects that I've got planned. Now this stuff does actually get kind of complicated, and if you screw it up, you're probably gonna die. Therefore, you shouldn't highline.